Go. Hello, everybody. All right. Hello, greetings. God, it's so cool. Like I look at every one of you, and my heart just gets all open because you're each so amazingly, wonderfully beautiful and cool. So it's good to see all of you. We're gonna have a little special treat. At 4:30, Radiance is gonna come in, and she's gonna share about a 15-minute soul recovery process. Um, and I more and more am really wanting there to be less and less Scott and more of the rest of you. Hopefully you're noticing that that's happening in our online classes, I'm down to just doing 3 shows a week. Um, Yesterday I turned over to the empathy practice group. From now on it's going to be run by other people. Um, and so I'm really wanting each of you, when you have something really special, a skill, a tool, a practice, to set up times to share it with each other. And likewise, just as initially you might be seeing more Scott doing coaching, but as we transition, it's going to be more and more watching other people do coaching. So as time goes by, much less Scott and much more all of you. Radiance is going to join us at 4:30. Um, and so between now and then, I'd love to maybe answer get people's feedback on what we were just talking about and make just a couple of quick announcements about what's happening with Love Coach Academy. So it's looking very good that Jay Mayer is going to be a wonderful support system for us. Money has successfully crossed lines, and agreements are being made, and it's looking good. So we're excited about that. And we're going to take the first chunk of money and use it to up our social media and up our advertising budget. Well, we don't even have a budget, but up our advertising to get a lot more people watching our shows with the purpose of driving a lot of traffic to get coaching. And so that's kind of where we really where we want to go. It's like now I'm feeling really good. We got some really good shows happening. We've obviously got great coaches, and so now it's time to up it. I do need to work on coming up with agreements with all of you. And I'll be working with all of you pretty much on an individual basis. But over the next week to 10 days, I hope to come up with some contracts and some agreements. We're going to keep them fairly simple, just to so we all kind of know where we all stand. Because of course, if we're providing clients for some of you, then there'll be a percentage that comes back to Love Coach Academy. And any input that you have about what you think is fair, send it to me in a private message because I'm kind of sorting it all out. And it's good to know we have our own legal mediator in the room with Camila. So if need be, I'd love your feedback on how things kind of evolve. I really like that. And, remember that you don't have to commit to weekly shows. If you have a particular topic that you want to do a one-off on, let me know and we'll schedule a special time for that. Okay? So that's definitely a direction I want us to be going into. I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to bring it up again. Oh, actually, I mentioned it to the Mandy group. I haven't mentioned it to you. So I am super excited. And it's really cool what's happening. We're obviously growing and expanding. Our Saturday Night Live show, last Saturday night, we had double the audience we've ever had before. And this week we're going to have even more because we're going to be getting a stage on this big global, it's like this big global One Unity festival, and they're giving us a stage. So we're going to have our, Saturday Night Live on that stage. And we've got Marianne Williamson, and Awake TV is now carrying Saturday Night Live. And hopefully a lot of these are then, like Awake TV, it will start carrying some of our primary shows, some of the Love Coach shows, as people are getting to know us and get to know me. An example of that is my friend Alan Steinfeld started carrying on his YouTube channel, New Realities, which has 55,000 subscribers. He started carrying the Saturday Night Live show. Then he started carrying some of our other shows. He carried the show that I did with Trish and Roxy last Friday night, and he wants to continue to do the Friday night show. And he also is doing my Tuesday night interviews with extraordinary people. And he wants to start carrying a couple of our other shows. So I'm going to have him start carrying Treasures and Triggers and Mondays with the Ohana. So it's growing and it's expanding. Now here comes the tough part. And I want to acknowledge that it brings up a veil of past pain for me. And nobody's done this in a significant way yet, in little itty-bitty ways, but let me tell you what it is. Way back a long time ago, I started a professional theater company when I was 17 years old. And the idea was originally plays for teenagers by teenagers about teenagers. And back then I learned how to get grants. There was a lot of federal money available for innovative educational programming. We hit the jackpot and we got a lot of money at an early level. And soon I had 20 different casts of 4 actors each going into high schools and sometimes junior high schools all over the country, doing shows on sex, drugs, gangs, violence. And we were really good. We were really good at what we did. And I had some amazing writers and directors. Some of our actors went on to become pretty famous, most famous one being Whoopi Goldberg. And it was really cool. And we pretty quickly, we did that. I started the company in 1974. And by 1980, we were doing television specials, taking the best of our stage plays, adapting them for television. And in 1981, we got our first gig to do a TV series with the local LA PBS station. Really exciting. We have a TV show. Now at that point, I had about 80 people working for me, of which 65 were actors, probably, approximately. And about 30 were like real core people who had been with me for a few years. They were all really great.
How old were you at this point? You were saying high school. I'm trying to get your timeline of where you are in your life.
I started it when I was in high school. And I did my first TV show. I had 85 employees at age 21. And I won my first Emmy Award at 23. So the first TV show was produced when I was 22. I used to be smart. I used to be like this wild, crazy, type A guy. So it's cool. We've got a TV show. And the way that I did it so that I could mix it up was we didn't have the same actors in every show. It was a true repertory company. And every show would have different actors. So in my mind, it was like, wow, everybody's excited. TV and people are getting on TV. But the painful part was every show would have 7 or 8 actors would be in the TV show, which meant that there were a whole lot more actors that weren't in that particular show. And there's some actors that just weren't in any of the shows. And I got a lot of negative feedback on that, a lot of hurt people, which I understand now. Those were actors. They were way younger than all of you. I was way younger. We didn't have compassionate communication. We didn't have those tools. So I don't anticipate anything close to the severity of what happened back then. But I just want to bring it up right now because all of you are awesome. Everyone in Love Coach Academy is wonderful. Everyone deserves lots of focus and highlight if they want it. And there's only so much time and attention that I can give to people at a particular time. And I'm now kind of going through the beginning to look at which people to feature more as coaches. So I want to say before many choices are made that I absolutely believe in each and every one of you. I want to support each and every one of you. I will do my best to support each and every one of you. And it's not going to be everybody all at once. And of course, there's some people who don't even want to be on camera. There are people who don't want to be on camera, who don't want to make more money as a coach. So everybody's at different places of their career and where they're at and what they're wanting out of Love Coach Academy. But I just wanted to state this now because not from anybody in this group, but I did start getting harassed by somebody in Love Coach Academy, and for not giving that person more attention in her own show. and it triggered this. Oh, wow, right, I remember this. So that's why I just wanted to bring it up right now and put it out there to everybody. I'm a very open person. You are all welcome to send me audio messages or text messages with what you're feeling, what you want, what you need. I will respond to all of you, maybe not within minutes, but within a day or two. And I want to hear where you're all at. And I just invite people to be patient. Okay? So thanks for listening. And thank you for the twinklings. And Camila, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, question on that. I'm curious if you are intending to have that kind of conversation with each of us, or maybe you already have with everyone else and Tori and I haven't yet with you. Like, what are you here to get out of Love Coach Academy? Do you want to be on camera? How much do you want to be promoted? Do you want to make more money? Because I'd love to have the opportunity to communicate that to you, and I imagine.
Yeah. So we did do that to some degree. We, in one of our earlier classes, I think it was the second class, everybody kind of went through with what their vision is and all that. So I do need to catch up with you and Tori. And our world is changing so fast that I'm always willing to be updated or reminded, and really it's kind of equal parts of both, so yeah, good question. Any thoughts, questions, or reflections about kind of just the announcements parts? Alison, and then Trish.
Well, I just wanted to say, Scott, that was a beautiful example of how to talk about veils of past pain in a way that doesn't antagonize anyone and brings everyone into your and good, deeper understanding of your own history. So I just want to say thank you for that. I think I'm probably the person who's the least comfortable, which is funny because I've done a lot of camera work in the past. I made a bunch of dance instructional videos, but just at this point in my life, I'm feeling very inward. And I feel seen in that. I feel supported by everyone in this group in allowing me to just take it at my own pace. And I just want to say thank you to everyone because I don't feel pressured. I feel invited, but not pressured. And I'd love to set up a time to talk to you more because I think I need some guidance about how I could make my own personal, because I do want to be coaching people. And I definitely want to put that out there, but I'm not sure that I want to do it as a show. So I'll just say I'd like to sign up for a time to talk to you. And deep gratitude for showing us such emotional intelligence as you navigated what was clearly a difficult topic.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I did rehearse. There's one of these little things I rehearsed in my mind. And definitely I'm loving watching how all of you are supporting each other. Like there's more and more of that happening. Just a reminder that thank you for those of you who provided support to Candace. I'm going to unmute you, Candace. And definitely Candace is somebody who's like being really assertive about wanting to participate. And because of her blindness, she needs support with, the technology things that are, not as easy for her. So, thank you, Trish. I know you've provided support for Candace. By the way, Candace, I keep trying to unmute you, and it's being very finicky. So, Trish, I know you had raised your hand, so you're up next.
I'm unmuted now.
Good job. Trish.
I know I've since we're talking about Candace, two things I want to say. Just because I'm right here with you, I totally want to be in contact with you more, and we haven't really had our time schedules are. And then I'm super excited about Candace's new love. I saw that all over your girl. So just now back to business. I do want to say that I really love that you brought that up, and I've in this group specifically, I've noticed that you're really inviting, but never like, yeah, come on, have your own show. You're like, do your own show. Like, go ahead, rock it out. You do it. And that's what I've always felt. And in saying that, Dawn and I have been having some conversations about like what it is that, other than us showing up and doing the show, like what, like you're going to be doing advertising and you already have been doing advertising that costs money. Like, so her and I are both a little like in the conversation of what is required from us and how do we participate in the most, you know, financially appropriate, like
Yeah.
like straight conversations, direct absolutes are really nice for us because it's just the way that her and
Yeah.
I brain works.
I think everybody, I mean, of course, we have to have more structure and order. And honestly, I'm not good at structure and order. I tell you one thing, we need like an administrator. We really do. We need like somebody who can do a lot of the more administrative side of things. So that's something that I'm wanting to manifest. Um, but
What does that
certainly we
look
do.
like?
What does that look like?
What does the administrator do and what does it look like?
Administrator would be the person who would kind of do a lot of um, admin, the administrative work. So that would look like we are going to set up Christopher Zwick is creating a CRM that will kind of process everything. So a lot of things will be processed. But basically, we need to come up with a system of accounting and a system of agreements and contracts with everybody and just standardized procedures. So, for example, we'll figure out what it is, but if you've got, let's say, we'll use you as an example. Trish and Dawn have their own show, but it's on the Love Coach Academy network. So they run maybe 2 commercials during their show for other shows. And they say at the beginning a certain couple of sentences, and at the end, a certain 30 to 60 seconds that everybody says that introduces where people watching get more information. We're going to want to set it up an affiliate system so that any coach can refer to another coach or to an online workshop. Let's say Trish and Dawn are teaching their own workshop. Like Paul and Heidi recently did a workshop. I referred some people to it. I'm in their affiliate system, so I got a 20% commission. So we're going to need to set up an affiliate system that works for everybody. Certainly, as it gets bigger and we start, doing more and more kind of advertising and social media, we're going to want to be able to track that and see what's really working. Right now we're in discovery. I've been discovering all of you, who you are, what your talents are, who wants to play in what ways. Now we're starting the shows and we're beginning to discover just with little tiny numbers. I mean, let's face it, most of our shows are only getting between 300 and 1,000 views, and usually only anywhere from 5 to 20 people watching at any given time. So it's still pretty small, but even there, we're able to go in through Facebook Insights, track the insights, track, who our demographic groups are, when do people start dropping down, when do people start watching. On the big show, Saturday Night Live, it's interesting for me because I'm able to actually watch in our webinar room when we peak and then when people start leaving the webinar room. It's been really, really interesting to watch that. When we're able to hold people, and then when people start leaving. And you can actually do that in real time, even on, like now we're using Restream, which gives us a whole report that shows us what's happening on all of the different tracking devices. And this is all an answer to, what does an administrator do? An administrator could easily spend hours each day just studying the information we already have, just studying what are the trends with our different shows, right? Who's watching? What are we losing people? What's working? Which shows are attracting more people? And Debbie Garcia is doing that to some degree, and I'm doing it to a little itty bitty degree, but it's pretty fascinating. And honestly, I want to put most of my time and attention into training coaches. That's what juices me the most. I want to do fewer and fewer clients, except for Tori and Camila or Roxy and anybody she needs coaching with. Those are the people I still want to coach. But for the most part, I want to turn most clients over to other people, which I've wanted to do for a long time. Anyway, an administrator do a lot of stuff. Adrian with his hand up.
I don't need you to answer this at all, but it's on my mind. And it's in theme or in line with what we're talking about. I guess one thing that I'd like to know more is, well, so this whole thing has happened really organically. At the beginning of this mentorship program, you didn't realize that this whole wave of shows was going to happen the way it has, if I understand correctly. Like, this is really birthed from your desire to be of service with COVID-19, and here we are. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe there was some intention to do shows in this kind of format, and it just happened to be the right time with people staying at home, etc. I guess my question is, like, what are you hoping to get? What is your intention? There does seem to be this element of service, like you're getting this money, you're promoting us, you know, we're on the Love Coach page. It seems like, I imagine there's a combination of us supporting the kind of LCA brand, which does support you on some level. Obviously, if there's kind of commissions going back to you, there is a return on investment. But it still seems like there's an element of this that is really kind of gifting. There's a gifting element, and I'm wondering if I'm just being naive, and maybe this is really clear business and we really are helping you by doing this, and that we get enough clients, it really is reciprocal. Because right now it feels like really advantaging me in some way. Obviously, I'm paying you a decent amount of money to be involved in this, and I'm just kind of curious what your intentions are, thoughts are around, you know, we're supporting us / us supporting you. Again, I don't need to, like, this is, I don't need that to be answered now, but it's something I'm curious about.
No, thank you. I'll try and answer it in a minute. I was born on Christmas Day. I grew up in the Messiah complex. All my life, I've had a belief about changing the world. Now, luckily, when I hit 10 years old, I had an experience that helped me to understand it wasn't just up to me. And by the time I was a teenager, I had figured out that it was up to everybody this time. There's not going to be just one Messiah. We're all Messiahs. But there is this deep-rooted desire, always, in the fabric of my being, to make the world a better place and to play my role. And when the pandemic hit, it really enlivened me in that, oh wow, okay, this is it. Like, this is a big shift in our world. Pretty quickly, I saw that relationships were really struggling, and it just all kind of evolved. I have for a long time wanted to have exactly this, a group of amazing coaches coming together as tribe, coming together as family, supporting each other, learning my tools, taking my tools, making it their own. Just like I took what I learned from Marshall Rosenberg, I made it my own, I improved it in my way. And I want all of you to do the same. You know, take what you learned from me and add it to your tool belt and apply it, adjust it, spin, fold, mutilate, whatever feels right. But most of all, let's help the world. Let's get out there. And because I tend to really genuinely love each and every one of you, not necessarily romantically, but just who you are, amazing beings that you are, I want to get you all out there. Financially, I've always been somewhere between really naive and really trusting. I've given it all my life. If money comes in, I give it away. I have never had a savings of more than $1,000 in my bank. Money comes in and I put it out. But I've also always been incredibly well taken care of. And I have had millions of dollars come through me. So I have like a really high degree of faith. I definitely have invested a lot. When I started everything all over again in September, almost everybody in Relationship Essentials I gifted into the program. About half the people in the mentorship program I've either gifted or given a significant discount to. And even the people who are paying the most are paying a fraction of what most life coaching programs cost. And I trust it's all going to come back and come around. I do trust that. And of course, setting up the structure for that to happen. Talking to Christopher about it. You know, we want to play at a really big level. And for a long time, I've had the vision of ultimately having a nationally broadcast reality-based TV show, which is a love coach TV show, where we see people in crisis. It's so simple. People in crisis, people yelling and screaming at each other. In comes Scott and one or two other love coaches. We work our magic, and people are hugging and kissing at the end. Hopefully, they'll be able to hug by that time. And it's a fairly simple, direct show. But then if people want more information, they go to our website, and our website, there's lots of options. There's the option to see more behind the scenes footage of that particular show, because every show is different. One is working with a single mom and 3 kids. One is working with 3 corporate executives. Another week, we're with a couple that are on the verge of divorce. Another week, it's 4 kids working at Jack in the Box. It's all the different types of relationships people have. So if you're that mom, it's like, oh my God, that show really hit me. You want more information, you go to the website. There's more footage, you see more of the details. But you also go to the website, find a love coach, get online courses, download the videos, and those are basically the 3 primary things we're going to be selling, right? For people that have the least amount of money, download existing videos or go to our free online webinars. Mid-range, come into a course like Relationship Essentials, or if you want to be a coach, a mentorship course, where it's a small group of people getting online training. Maximum amount of support, you actually hire a coach to work with you while you learn these tools and while you get the support you need. And that's why all of you are going to be needed, because we're going to have a big funnel, and we're going to need, people really want, the corporate support. They're going to go, I'm going to make this up, they're going to go to Adrienne and, the people that have decided to go more to the corporate part of Love Coach Academy. I'm also picturing a red door. And if people want to go through the red door, that's where they'll find, well, you guys can guess which of you might be behind the red door waiting and waving. So that's kind of the long-range vision. And it'll all work out. It will all work out. I trust that. And much more conversation, but I promised Mimi, also known as Radiance, she's got kids to feed, so I promised that she could go on at 4:30 our time, 7:30 where she is, East Coaster. So Radiance, I'm going to put the spotlight on you for this process, and I have not done this. I don't know what's about to happen, other than I trust Radiance, and I liked her description. Do I put the spotlight on you or on Gallery View? Okay.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, beauties. Thank you. I'm really grateful to be here. This is about a 20-minute session. So a friend of mine, this was a download that he received. He wrote a book around it. It's called Soul Recovery Technique. I'm just going to include that in the website. He's a veteran. He works with people who have gone through major trauma, and they're not able to stop the feedback loop. So they're not able to, I just put the book over in the corner there. So for the veterans that have had shell shock or PTSD, or people who keep on reliving the same major wound happening, this is one tool that we're inviting him to use. He's used it at VA hospitals, and he's used it in quite a few different settings. So that's what this is, but it can be used across the board. So I just wanted to go through it once with you, and then I'm doing an interview with he and the other woman who helped to write the book starting this weekend. I believe it's part of quantum healing because it's nonlinear travel, but I'll get into that later. Okay, so
The book again?
Pardon?
Name of the book again?
Yeah, it's called Soul Recovery Technique, and I put it over in the chat box. I put the link there. So I would invite Candace, and I have done this already. So I would invite, thank you, everybody you're going to drop in, you're going to close your eyes, you're going to rediscover a younger version of you. So please get comfortable for a minute. And there won't be any talking, but I will just see a raise of hands when people, so after you've relaxed and after you're in your space, then just raise your hand and I'll know to move on to the next section. So please get comfortable, not comfortable enough where you're drooling and asleep, the other level of comfort. So nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Really relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Please mute yourself. Thank you, Scott. Okay, so relaxing through your body, we're going to start with the thin silver cord that goes up into the universe, comes down through the top of your head, all the way down through your body, goes down like a great waterfall deep into the earth, bounces back up and through your heart, and this goes out as a shockwave around the world to anybody who is needing tools and techniques right now, putting it out to all of them that we're all coming together to learn this. And that this threads us back to them, back to all of those who desire tools for healing. Okay. So you're here in present day. I want you to get together a beautiful box that your younger self would really enjoy. And I want you to go back to, I want you to just think about for a moment, on a scale of 1 to 10, something that was a wounding space for you, somewhere between a 6 and a 10 for your wounding space. And then once you have that, yes, if
Sorry,
you want to type it, yeah,
meaning high wounding, 6 to 10, like high wounding?
yeah, yeah, high wounding, yeah.
Any particular age that it'd be good to focus on?
Nope, just a younger version of you. Some version of you will call yourself in. It's like, I'm the one, pick me. So pick that one. Okay, so you're here in present day. You find a remote control and you decorate it. So decorate the heck out of it, something that your younger self would really enjoy. And then put it into a really beautiful box. Stick some balloons on it. And then the moment before the wounding happens, I want you to walk into that moment into your life, into your younger self life. And your younger self sees you for the first time. When you're there, when you're at that moment, raise your hand. It's before the wounding happens. Great, I've got it, thank you. Okay, so you're there with your younger self. And you are so grateful to be there with your younger self. They've called you into this moment. And they are so grateful that you are there with them. And you are like, I have got the coolest thing for you. And they're like, okay, what is it? What is it? And you hand them this box and let them really enjoy that you are there with them at this moment. And they open the box and they see a remote control. And they're like, what is this? And you tell them that they get to press the pause button because that life has already been lived. So just breathe there for a minute. And it's okay to be messy. Okay, just stay there with your younger self. So they have this remote control. They press the pause button. And you say, you can live and do anything you want to do right now. We can move forward and go forward, and we can use my voice to address what's about to happen before you. We can go to Wendy's. We can go to the North Pole. We could travel to Mars. We can go to a park. So just ask your younger self, what would you like to do? And then drop in with some really deep gratitude for a moment and just say, you are so amazing. Raise your hands when you are in this moment with your younger self. And now keep your hand up if you know what you're going to do next with your younger self, where they want to go. Okay, great. You can place your hands down. Okay, so stay with your younger self. If you're having a hard time staying in the moment, connect to the air around you in that moment, what's happening. And they've pressed the pause button, so they don't need to choose that future. And you go and you find yourself in this next space. Now you've still got the pause button happening for a moment. I want you to sit down with your younger self. Place your hand over their heart, and they place their hand over your heart. And take that in. And then hold your other hand that isn't over the heart together. And let them tell you how grateful they are for the life that you've lived on their behalf. Let them see everything that you've gone through. And then let them really cherish you for that journey. Deep gratitude. And they know you, and they know the journey that you've gone on. And they so cherish you. And now you go back to them and you are looking at them with your hand over their heart, and you say, I am so grateful that you called me into this moment. You knew that I would come back for you. So now you get to go and relive and create whatever you want for the next 3 minutes, whatever this younger you wants to do with you. Make sure it's as all-encompassing and full volume as much as possible. Take in the scents, take in the environment. If it was something terrible, I welcome that you can walk out the door and go for a beautiful drive and go get some coconut ice cream. And let them know that you can come back to this moment as often as needed. Just really cherish being there with them. So I'll be silent for the next 2.5 minutes. Just really enjoy them. You have about 1.5 minutes left with them. Really take in how beautiful they are. How tender they are. And let them see the work that you've done to get here. And you have 30 seconds. Okay. Find a beautiful place to sit down with them. Hand over your heart with them, and then nice deep breath in through the nose, looking into their left eye. And they're looking into yours, and you breathe together in through the nose and out through the mouth. And you tell them that they are welcome to keep the remote control and call you back in to as many of these experiences as they want to relive and recreate. And they see how beautiful and how amazing you are. And let them just cherish you for a moment for all of the darkness that was overcome through your journey. Let them see how beautiful you are right now and the deep gratitude that they have for your returning to them and reclaiming them and giving them a choice that you didn't have. Nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Get rid of any stale air that was in that space. There you go. Shake it out. Let them shake it out with you. There you go. Okay, now the last part. You're doing great. Tell them they're doing great. Let them know. Let them tell you you're doing great. The final part is you're going to give them a hug. And while you do, they're going to energize into your body. And you'll feel it all the way into your spine. And then that goes out as a wave around the world and begins to heal everyone who was on that same trajectory. But now they have more choices. Yeah. And then let all of your younger self know that you'll come back for them. Such deep gratitude. And then place your hands onto the ground and close the container with gratitude. There you go, beauties. Y'all can turn on your mics.
Lots of twinkling to beloved Radiance. Radiance, can you stay for a few minutes just to get reflections?
I just wanted everybody to breathe together for one moment. That was. And thank you for being willing to do that. That's some powerful work. Did anybody want to share what came up for them?
I saw Trish and I think I saw Tori. No, just Trish.
Multiple things. I went to a place and then I'll just be really honest. I went to the place right after my first time at Burning Man where my boyfriend decided to tell me, my ex-boyfriend at that moment, decided to tell me that he'd gotten another woman pregnant and he was breaking up with me. And then literally moments later, his dad saw me because we were doing, like, setting up a weed deal together, just being super honest. And he eventually, in the next day, took advantage of me. So in that, I got to that point. My younger self took me back another point to the previous sexual assault that I experienced. And then there was a conversation that we had that looked like this. But this is the reason why you're doing the work that you're doing in the world for others. And I was like, oh, crap. And realized, like, that was the trajectory that took me into sex coaching and meeting Scott and all of the things that I did, because I was moving towards, like, I have this idea that I can, like, eradicate rape if we just educate people and talk about our needs. And so that's the moment. But it was really beautiful to, like, bring her in. And I was kind of a step ahead. My brain wanted to go a step ahead where she, like, sucked into my body, but also letting it, like, coming back into my body and like jutting out into letting everyone else heal was really awesome. And because I've done a lot of hypnosis around this kind of stuff, I even chopped the two sections of the most painful experience and muted the color and let that go out. So thank you. That was fucking fabulous.
Thank you. And thank you to your younger self for being courageous enough to pull you into those moments. So thank you for sharing that. That really, yeah, I see you. I see the goodness of what you're creating. Thank you for being in the world.
Alison, and then Candace.
Me. That was really deeply healing, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to speak without crying. I went back to the time right before I came into contact with a very manipulative narcissist who controlled me for several years. And I went right before I met him, and before he started getting into my head and making me not believe in reality and not being able to trust myself. And I was able to see that his manipulation of me was rooted in my own caring and wanting to be a source of healing for others in the world. And because I went through that, I am able to be conscious of continuing to do that in my life now. But it was I was able to tell her that it wasn't her fault what happened, and that everything that was damaging came out of having an open heart, and that it was okay to still have that.
Oh, I love you. Oh,
So thank you. That was amazing, and I've never been able to go back to that time and feel safe.
yeah. You found you. Thank you for your journey, Alison.
Candace, I don't know what it is, but it's not letting me unmute you. So I need you to do it, hon. It lets me mute you, but it doesn't let me unmute you for some reason. Yeah, I'm clicking.
I just want to say I am available for follow-up for people that needed
Oh,
it.
there we go.
But because I know that I didn't want to take up your whole evening. But if you do need additional support through that, let me know because I'm available to talk.
Yeah, let's maybe hear from one more person, and then we'll let you get to your dinner, and I'll get to back to class. But it's amazing, Candace.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mimi. And at the beginning of the journey, when I had I was gifted the remote, and it's like myself was telling my younger self, where do you want to go? And you tell me we're on pause. I'm like, what the fuck is pause gonna do? I need rewind, erase, fast forward, something. And so first I was like, I was in the teenage stuff. So my teenage rebellious, it was very hard for me to even pick a time. I was just pissed that you made me go there at first. So that's where it started. And it was really nourishing and deeply healing, because I really got to allow myself to be mad and feel some feelings and come back to love within myself. And very much like my younger self, this teenage self, this had such profound vision as to who I am today and my commitment to healing that part of me into others. And I love the circling back around at the end to send this out to all others that may have experienced similar wounding. Like, it nourished, like I have that similar part of me. I'm dedicated to service, and I was just gorgeous. I could go on and on, but it's finished.
Received, Candace. Thank you, and thank you for continuing to create within that journey. I'm grateful to be here with you. Thank you. I saw that there was one question. It is to share with clients. I would recommend getting the book, and then I know that Tom and Karen are doing a certification. It's like a 4-hour course to get certified in it. So if you want to teach it, they would just request that you do that. But the book is available, and people can do it themselves. But this is just supporting a vet, so it's helpful. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mimi. Thank you, Radiance.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Sending love, everybody. Good night.
That was awesome. Thank you. It was interesting for me. I mean, probably like most of us, I had a really beautiful experience. But one thing that was really cool was I was in two places. I was back in my bedroom as a child, um, and I saw all these toys that I had forgotten about that I had. This really cool castle with these really neat little knights. And oh my God, I was like totally remembering exactly what the knights looked like. And then we went to Disneyland, and I remembered what Disneyland was like back in those days. So it was really, really cool. So, Debbie G.
I went to Disneyland. I'm serious.
I
I
believe you.
love Disneyland. We used to go every week when I was little. Back in the days when there were tickets. This is way before
Yeah, yeah,
those
yeah.
days.
The
Yeah,
A ride, the B ride, the C ride, and the D
totally.
ride, and the
Right.
E ride. Yeah,
Yeah, and when I was picking a place I wanted to go, it was straight to Disneyland. You know?
same.
Yeah. God, I
Totally.
miss Disneyland. Jeez, Jiminy Crickets.
It's very cool. Very
Thank
cool.
you.
We'll move on in a moment, but anybody else want to share anything that is significant for you that came up in the process? Mandy.
I don't know, like, I know it's supposed to be like a positive experience and healing. For me, it was almost not. It was kind of weird to go backwards in time. And because where I ended up going was my first experience with like romantic love and getting like, it was like my 8th grade, very first boyfriend. All I ever did was hold his hand, but it was like my first experience with romantic love with a guy. He would write me the most beautiful, profound love letters, like Romeo and Juliet, Shakespearean quality. I'm like, how does this kid know how to write this stuff? Like, is this Shakespeare reborn? And he would bring me gifts all the time and little rings and like just lavish on me. And then suddenly, out of the blue, he like disappears, dumps me, and he's doing the same thing to this other girl. And I'm like, what just happened? You know, I'm confused. And then seeing that kind of happen throughout my life, where it's like these relationships end and they just move on, relationship end. Like, getting kind of tired of this happening. It's not always a positive experience looking back. You're just like, when is this gonna end?
Yeah. So first of all, it's to uncall Mandy for sharing that really vulnerable. And in a moment, I'm going to open it up to other people.
I have to add, I'm sorry, Scott. The added message was, wasn't it nice to get all those letters and gifts? So, like, yes, each relationship has brought things with it. I've had gifts and memories and adventures and experiences, and I guess like that's what the positive that I have to look at it is. I guess I just have to figure out if the endings could just be less painful, you know.
So I have a couple of things I want to say, and then I'd love to open it up to one or two of you to give some empathy or understanding. And I'm sure that probably many of us can relate to some version of what Mandy shared. But from a love coach professional standpoint, there's a very real challenge that she raises, and that is when we're taking people into a deep place like that, into a slightly hypnotherapeutic place, you got to really know what you're doing, because we don't want to open some wound and not be prepared to manage it. I mean, that's really, really important. Because it's like opening Pandora's box. Okay, you don't know what's really going to come flying out, and so it's really important, I think, to get to know your clients really well, and make sure that they have a good support system when the session is over, that they have a certain amount of self-sourcing technique, because again, a well-meaning person who's not very experienced could open up something and even think everything is all groovy and cool. Okay, I'm off to, and the person's just left. Right, and I noticed that, a few of you, Adrian and Trish, twinkled, and others. So I know some of you guys get it, but like that's a really important warning. I mean, we are coaches. We are not trained psychiatrists, and we're not trained, or most of us are not trained therapists in that way. So you do got to be really, really careful doing this kind of work. Adrian. Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks, Mandy, and thanks for clarifying. This is something that I've been wanting you to talk about more, Scott, and kind of brought up this idea of scope of practice. I've been curious if there is like a certain demographic of society that is more attracted to what we offer, and that because of the way what we put out there, is your experience, Scott, that we do tend to attract more emotionally high IQ folks? It's question number one, and I guess I just want to kind of piggyback on what you said, Scott, is that I think it is important for us, even if we haven't fully developed the skills to do a deep dive with someone who has significant trauma, let's say, to be trauma informed so that we have the ability to see somebody and go, you know what, actually, I don't have the skills and the skills or the time or the do the work, because people who are really have significant early childhood trauma, that's some deep stuff that's, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's really good to have people fill out a client intake form.
Right, of course.
Right? That's what
Bingo.
really, because I mean, you saw how thorough it is. It's pretty freaking thorough. And I get a pretty strong sense of where people are at after they fill that out. And so, and then if I do, if I start seeing that there might be grandiosity or in their story, high level of victim, or all that stuff, I'll ask a few questions and I'll find out, have you used meds, and it's really important to let people know I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not here to diagnose. I'm not licensed to provide a therapeutic experience for you. What I can do is really give empathy and understanding, and I can share with you tools that I use. And that's kind of like the bottom line. We're giving empathy and understanding and care, and we're sharing tools that we use. That's kind of like, just always remember, that's it, right? And on kind of a cosmic level, I have experienced that I almost always attract the perfect people. And sometimes the perfect people are people that I'm going to learn from. So often, I'm still 20 years later, I'm still learning from people that I'm working with. So there's that. There's also, oftentimes I'm going through a certain thing in my life, and so I'm attracting people going through a variation of that same theme. So some of you, that are coaches can relate to that, right? It's amazing how that happens. So, we're all kind of magnetic. And I think, I am a strong believer in like really putting out, okay, what do I want to attract? Like Emily is like really into, I only want to attract people that are high level. She doesn't want to work with couples that are really struggling, although then she's doing polyamory, so it's all people that are challenged, because that's challenging stuff to go through. But, get clear on what you want. And I've heard some people, Debbie Garcia the other day said to me, I don't want to work with couples, So again, as we're working with each other, really getting clear who's your demographic group that you want to try, who are the demographic groups you feel really confident with, and really kind of being clear about that. And sometimes we do attract crazies. I think also, I'll say one last thing, that I saw Mandy and Trish, and I also wanted to give empathy to Mandy too. We kind of got off the professional part of it. I think it's harder for attractive women, just to be really blunt, because attractive women, you're going to have to sort through men that are doing transference on you or are seeking a girlfriend or seeking romantic affection or seeking feminine companionship. I mean, I'm kind of lucky, just my look, my who I am, you know, wise elder, right? So I attract people looking for a wise elder. Um, so it's the people I tend to attract are less likely to be difficult to deal with in a certain way. And I think, for those those of you that are women, it's a whole other deal, and I'm sure that I know some of you have a lot of experience with that. So, okay, by order of seeing hands, it's going to be Trish, Mandy, and Jessica.
Mandy, I just wanted to tell you that I super heard you on a very personal level. I did bring up that there was this experience with hypnosis before, and that was lots of going into the past, and it was days of sorting that out in the subconscious sleeping realm. And I get that going into the past isn't easy, especially if the past isn't like rainbows and butterflies and unicorn farts, right? It's really hard, and it can be really challenging, and it can be really sensitive, because those are the points that really created the pivotal, what do you call them? Holy vows, right? Like, they're so sensitive, and they were such like shaking pieces to the place that you were at in your life. Like, you were vulnerable, and you were sensitive, and you were open. So I really heard that piece there, just feeling you in your youthful, joyful NRE place where you were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And you're getting like dripped with this ooey, sticky, yummy love. And then it was like ripped out, like just ripped off. Like I was there with you, like, oh, I remember that. And to go back into that place that now is still really sensitive. Like, it's like a scar, and it's sensitive, and it's kind of weird and numb feeling. And to have to like step back into that place she took us deep, right? Like, she took us into the place where we felt that. So I was really feeling you there.
Beautiful empathy, Trish. Thank you. Mandy, how's that land for you?
Trish, I just appreciate your words and your empathy and seeing my vulnerability. And I definitely feel a little triggered. I mean, it's not severe, but it's like, just processing it.
Trish?
It's like a fear of rejection and just never knowing when the rug is going to get pulled out from under me. That seems to be the pattern in my life. It's hard when you feel like you try so hard in relationships.
I just want to acknowledge for a moment something really important she said. The pattern of my life. How many of you have noticed that the first significant experience you have about some part of your life sets up a pattern, right? And that's why we talk so much about veils of past pain and work on them, because it's, that's very much what Freudian is, the Freudian psychology. It's like our early childhood perceptions of mom and dad and how we relate to them. We end up playing out variations of that for the rest of our life. And so it's not that we're trapped in a Groundhog Day where we have to keep repeating that shit all over and over. But if we haven't worked it, if we haven't come to understand, oh, this is my wounding, this is my pattern, this is the holy vow that I made, this is who I believe I am, this is how I perceive men are, this is how I perceive women are, this is how I perceive sexuality, all the big ones. If we haven't come into conscious awareness of our beliefs and our patterns and our habits, we do keep repeating variations of those. Right? And it's a fine line, because in love coaching, of course, we're going to start getting into those things, but we have to really make sure that it's in bite-sized dosages so that we aren't leaving people, and everybody's in a different place. That's why it's important to learn. You'll notice that in the client intake form, there's a couple questions about previous experience, working with coaches and what's your previous therapeutic experience? What are your spiritual beliefs? Right? These are things that inform us as to where this person might be at. Mandy, would you like to go into a breakout room with one of our coaches? If stuff is really up for you, would you like to go? One of the reasons I switched this to a meeting room is we can go into breakout rooms. And we'll probably do more breakout rooms as this class proceeds. Would you like to go into breakout room with somebody to kind of talk about what's up for you?
No, I feel okay. I kind of shared whatever came up, and I feel complete, and it was nice just kind of talking about it in general.
Cool. Jessica, you're next.
I wanted to share that with the, oh, excuse me. This is business response to the conversation around, Scott, what you were saying about being a woman and maybe attracting men who may have the wrong idea about what the relationship is about. And I just wanted to encourage everybody that, like for me, for my website, I tended more, because I like working with women. I do love working with men, but I like working with a high emotional intelligence level. So most of my languaging, you can adjust your website and your image so that most of your languaging is geared more towards a certain demographic. So I don't actually know if this is the most relevant thing right now, but I think that you can kind of choose who you want to work with as a woman,
I think it's very relevant, and I think it's really important. I mean, again, all of you are kind of designing who you are, how you're presenting yourselves, and that's a lot of feedback that I'm hoping we're all going to give to each other. What's your image? One of the things, and it really kind of fell into my lap, but probably the best thing that I ever did for my career was coming up with the moniker of Love Coach Scott, right? And now people see me in the market. Back in the days when I was going to the market, or going out, oh wow, you're the love coach, or people that would see my videos with Emily or by myself. It's like, oh, you're the love coach, and I mean, I still get once or twice a week people wanting sessions because they want love coaching, and now when they think of love coach, they think of Love Coach Scott. So coming up with a moniker, coming up with a image of yourself, and any of you are welcome to be Love Coach Camila or Love Coach Mandy. You're all welcome to take that. Or, as I mentioned before, Emily switched into being the Heart Ninja, which is a brilliant moniker. So creating a moniker, creating an image of yourself, creating that is what you want to do. I mean, again, it's called branding, right? And you're all going to want to work on how to brand yourself. Debbie Gratitude, right? She's, really branding herself as Debbie Gratitude. So it's really important to think about that. And you don't have to be stuck with anything forever. You try something, see if it works, see if it sticks with you, see if it resonates. And the branding isn't just your name, but it's, what Jessica's talking about. What images do you put up on your website? Is it a particular gender? Is it a particular age range? Is it a particular race or culture? Alison? Let's all twinkle Jessica. She hasn't been thoroughly twinkled. Okay, Alison, you're up.
I hope you feel thoroughly twinkled now. Yeah, I was really grateful that Jessica brought this up, because I know a lot of us have worked in ways where we had to set really firm boundaries with male clients. As a dance teacher, teaching in a nightclub, I definitely had my share of people pushing boundaries. And I know that many of you get that completely and have been there. I think I have past trauma around it. I think I get triggered before it even gets to the point where the boundary is being pushed. I get scared that it will be pushed. So I would love to, at some point, have a discussion, maybe among some of the women, but men, please, also your input would be really valuable around like setting compassionate boundaries with clients, how to do it in a way that doesn't trigger them and doesn't trigger you, how to keep it professional and warm and welcoming, and yet make it crystal clear what the purpose of the relationship is going to be and what will be okay and what will instantly cause the relationship to be done. I would find that super helpful. So I just wanted to say that, and great thanks to Jessica for bringing it up.
Without it turning into the whole show, but or the whole class, are there any simple tips that any of our women, because I know there's several, Jessica, yeah, simple tips you suggest?
I would just say, practice and know. I think for me, that's been probably the biggest helper over time, is learning to say no with confidence and also grace, so that when it comes out, it's kind but firm. Because I have such a strong value for kindness. I think when I was younger, I didn't say no, or I would allow things to happen that didn't feel good to me. So I stopped trusting myself in that way. So I think that, it's a big teaching point for me with the women that I work with often. Just practice saying it out loud, practice receiving. I just practice saying no with kindness and grace, and totally embodied in that no. And over time, you won't have as many, well, it's been my experience in myself that over time, as I feel more comfortable in my no, and as I feel more comfortable saying it, I embody my yes and my no more strongly. And so there's way less pushback than there used to be. And I would say, even as a massage therapist, I worked in the city for many years as a massage therapist for like 8 years. And I would never get approached for inappropriate things because I did develop that strong sense of boundary through sort of the articulation of my internal no, if that makes sense. I don't know, I hope that's clear, and I'm so open to having conversation with you, Alison. The door is 100% open about that.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you. Anyone else on this topic? Camila.
Thank you, Jessica. That was beautiful. Just a couple of things that are present for me to add. One is to really teach boundaries in the opening of often your first session with a new client, right? So it's a beautiful part of the first session to have a conversation around my boundaries and your boundaries. So I think that is super key to set the container and to be clear around, if it's a touch session, here's where you can touch me, here's where you can't touch me. If it's a non-touch session, then boundaries around emotional safety, or vulnerability, or communication. And it can be not only, you being clear with your boundaries, us being clear with our boundaries as practitioners, but also helping our clients assert boundaries with us in their session, right? Like I had a first session with a new client this morning, and at the end of the session, we had a little like logistics chat. And one of the pieces was, it's not quite boundaries, but it's similar. It's like, I want to coach you in the best way that works for you. And part of that means you telling me what works well for you and what doesn't work well for you. So I really welcome your feedback. I can show up super soft. I can show up super strong, like I've got a range. So I want to know what lands well with you. that's similar to the boundary conversations. Like, I want you to feel safe. I want you to communicate to me what your boundaries are. So that's a piece. And then another piece is a beautiful sort of way to hold boundaries that in our community, like with Roxy and me and Tori, our sort of sex positive community here in San Diego, I really like the model of boundaries are a gift, right? When I communicate my boundaries to you, that is a gift to you because it gives you a really clear parameter for a playing field. Like, here's the boundaries in which we can play. And now you're free to do anything you want within those boundaries and not be worried about, am I hurting you? Am I overstepping, right? So I like to teach that, boundaries as a gift.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Does anybody remember what my standard phrase is? When we're setting a boundary, always lead with
Reassurance.
That you care.
God bless you both. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Trish.
I wanted to just say awesome to both you and Jessica. Like, oh man, that was awesome. You know, I did this practice a little while ago just to like play with Jessica's understanding of like yes and no's. I did this practice a while ago, and I'm sure that a couple people in this room probably have participated in the understanding of what your yes and no feels like. Saying yes to something that you don't want and saying yes to something that you do want, and actually feeling that in your body. Saying no to something that you want and saying no to something you don't want, and really getting clear with that, like where that feels in your heart and your body and your brain and all the things. Like, your body is literally telling you by the way that it moves forward and back in ways. I mean, it's strong. Your body's loud. Just as like another piece of understanding your yes and no. And then there's this place of, so being a pro-dom, having taught and participated in Tantra, and also being a sex coach, I've had a lot of clients think that I'm something that I'm not, even though I'm very clear and precise with what I'm like, what I can offer. These are some really like, listen to your intuition, set your boundary. Like, this is, I mean, like, and you set your boundary with reassurance, like, hey, I want to work with you. This is where I can, this is the container in which I can participate with you. And after that, it's a, like, I'm sorry, I can't work anymore. And I've played in many places where I'm like, no, I'll see if I can push my own boundaries. And what it really boils down to is that it's just gonna, it'll likely turn into something that feels really icky. Don't do that. You do your work with the people you want to do your work with. Listen to your intuition, because it's really strong and loud, just as strong and loud as your body. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. I have a lot more that I could talk about, but I'm not gonna.
Beautiful. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's move on to a few things I want to cover. So going back to the couple that we worked with, Dawn and Charlie, I did do a solo session with Charlie, and out of respect for his privacy, I did not record it. He wanted to have more privacy. But I have permission to share highlights, but not certain specifics. And the session went really well. He was very, very appreciative. And what can I say? It feels to me like we raised things that they now have an awareness of communicating about. And I think I've established with him that if and when he wants to go deeper, I'm happy to go work with him on a deeper level. And I think he kind of had reached his fill of how far he wanted to go at this time. And it didn't feel I didn't like, oftentimes I get the sense that the man's just like totally blowing it off. They don't want to go deeper. And it felt more just like he's kind of full for now and he has a lot to digest and he's in digestion mode. And that's just always something we have to track, you know? Most of you, I mean, I'll pick on Roxy and Jessica, Roxy and Trish, because I know them really well, and Debbie. They're, you know, you're all people that can go really deep and digest a lot of relationship geek stuff. We all can geek out about relationship stuff and go deep into our self-concept and our self-awareness and our self-reflection. And we get kind of excited about exploring all these parts of ourselves and being vulnerable. And, oh my God, I realized this insecurity and this doubt. Well, we geek out on that stuff. It's ice cream to us. But for some people, it really, it's very new, it's very different. And we have to, you know, move at the pace of the slowest person. Encourage people, inspire people. You know, it's like I like to always say when I'm working with people in open relationship or polyamory, please move at the pace of the slowest person and respect their pace. Respect their pace. And so that's kind of how I got, kind of what I experienced with Charlie. I really like him. I do. I like him a lot. And anyway, so that's kind of the update. Yes, Adrian.
I'm also kind of curious or imagining that he didn't necessarily know what he was getting himself into. Like, sure, I'll do the relationship inventory, deep. I'll do another session, deeper, and like private session with Scott. I was like, damn.
Yeah, you know, it was interesting when I offered the private session to him, it was by text. He got back to me in like 10 minutes and said, yeah, sounds great. Thanks, man. So there was a pretty quick enthusiasm. But then once we were together, you know, we did talk about a couple of things that he wanted to keep private. But then, honestly, I think it was like maybe 20, 25 minutes. It was short. And then he was like, okay, yeah, that's good. I'm good. I'm good. So, you know, it's kind of like, and I'm not talking about Charlie now. I'm not doing a comparison to Charlie. But little kids, you know, their attention span is only so long, you know. And then they're totally into it, and then their attention span shifts. So, yeah. Any other thoughts, questions? Because I know some of you hadn't watched the videos last week, but you have since then. So opening it up to anything that any of you want to share, thoughts, reflections, observations you made from watching those videos, or questions? Anything else on that one? Yeah, Alison.
I would love to talk about what you did so skillfully, which is when he got really triggered.
Mm-hmm.
How you were able to pull him back out of his triggered space into a place where he could communicate. And I'm wondering if you could give us a sort of a generalized overview of like, what's the first thing you need to do? What's the second thing you need to do? What's the third thing? To kind of, because I can imagine that a session could go off the rails very easily if you didn't manage that moment really skillfully.
Well, thank you, Alison. The short answer is how perfectly human. That's our motto. That's our motto. And we got to just, whenever someone gets triggered, how perfectly human. And we just drop into the humanity of it. When somebody goes deep into judgment, how perfectly human. When someone gets really scared or a big reveal happens, how perfectly human. How perfectly human that she was not feeling comfortable and not feeling safe to have a second child and wanted to use a condom. How perfectly human that he has a lot of sadness around that. How perfectly human that she fell into kind of blaming him for not making enough money. How perfectly human that that blame has stuck with him and he's got that scratchy sweater now of how perfect, you know, of feeling blamed by her. That's all so perfectly human. And so we always stay in that state of not judging, but dropping into compassion. And then finding the balance of giving each person enough empathy to feel connected, to stay connected to us, and to also make sure that we're not favoring one over the other. And that's probably the hardest part of working with couples, Because when they're both in a lot of pain, A, they're going to want us to be a judge. They're going to want us to declare who's right and who's wrong. So you got to really snip that in the bud. We're not a judge. What we do is we give as much empathy to each person. And you got to kind of try and gauge it, because there might be times where one person's needing a lot of empathy. And then when it's okay, like, Don was okay most of the time. He needed a lot more empathy. So in a sense, I gave him a lot more attention, because Dawn's gone to, her university, and she's got Trish, and she's, got, a support system. Whereas, and this is one of the things he said to me, it's like I was the first person that's even heard some of the things that he has said, right? So, you got to kind of weigh who needs the empathy, who needs it, but make sure that both people are feeling connected and supported. Yeah. Any other thoughts that come up for anybody else, just about that topic in general, or about any questions, thoughts? Camila, yeah, I saw, Camila, you do a thing.
I don't know what thing you saw me do.
It looked like I saw you do this.
Oh, I think I was just doing that.
Oh, okay.
But breath for me, and this is really from my mediation training. Mediation conflict. Coaching couples often is too. But breath can be such a powerful tool to shift people out of the reptile brain into a more regulated nervous system that can then be present to what's happening and be able to listen and to communicate. So I will guide people in, let's literally all stop and let's take a few deep breaths together. And if they think it's cheesy, you can be like, okay, I know it sounds cheesy, and just give them the biological scientific, like, we are literally moving you out of a part of your brain that cannot function effectively and moving you into a part of your brain that can.
Thank you so much, Camila, for that reminder. Absolutely. And so often in my sessions. Okay, when it gets heated, let's take some breaths. Let's breathe. Let's breathe. It's okay. Let's just take some breaths. You're safe. Okay. Let's slow it down. Slow it down. Absolutely. Anything else on that? Adrian.
And just the safety piece, like you said some things last time that you said before, but you said it in a way that really just anchored in like some beautiful essence of what we're doing, and it was about safety and connection. So notice myself kind of creating these filters for what it is we're doing here. And I said it in the chat box, but I guess I'll just say it again. Like, yeah, when you speak to the how perfectly human, it just creates that safety and like, right, we all do this. It's not just, thank you, we all do this. It feels, and we feel connected to the world when we get the reassurance of how perfectly human. Yes, we all do this.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, and it triggers a thing to point out. You'll be amazed how many people, especially when you're working with people that are kind of less experienced, they don't realize that their trip, their trauma, their issues are as common as they are. Most people are like in this, that it only happened to me. And so there's an interesting balance there, because there can be a relief when we really help convey that what you've gone through, or what you're going through, I've gone through a variation of that, or it's actually really, really common. So on the one hand, we provide the relief that is more common than they realized, but really important not to minimize their pain because it's common. Okay, I really want you to get that. It's like we're still staying in the empathy. Their pain is real, and we're not minimizing the pain because, oh yeah, everybody goes through that, right? So it's not oh, everybody goes through that. So yeah, I went through that. It's like, actually, you'd be amazed how many couples I work with go through that, and it's so hard. It's really hard, and it's amazing. Most of the couples I know have a similar kind of issue. Like, you stay in the empathy while letting them know it's okay. You're not as fucked up as you think you are. You're just perfectly human. You know, does that make sense? That kind of balance? You guys will catch that? Yeah. What else is there? Just a reminder when you're watching each other's shows, and please do try and watch each other's shows. You know, every time you watch some of the shows, you're going to pick up tips and tools. And if you are watching each other's shows, lots of comments, lots of little hearts. It raises the engagements, which Facebook likes, and raises our algorithms. And do watch parties. Do watch parties of your own show, or do watch parties of other people's shows. And remember, if you start a watch party, pick it at a time when, you know, a lot of people are on Facebook, and then invite your friends. Like, you invite people, especially people. What happens is they then get a message, oh, Trish is doing a watch party. Hey, Mandy is doing a watch party. And so, and then you can actually dialogue and comment with people while they're watching the video replay, right? So this is a really important way for us to support each other, continue our process of learning and education, and so on and so forth. Okay. Also, a reminder, if any of you have clients that you're working with and they're willing to be recorded, really video recording, you know, audio recording is okay, but really video recording so we can kind of see. If they're willing to be recorded and they're willing for either me or the mentorship group to watch, let me know. Because I do want to start, you know, I might not show the whole session, but I might show, hey, this is a really tender moment. Look at how Adrian handled it. Hey, this is a really interesting challenge, and look at what Trish did, right? And I will never bring it up in a judgmental way. If I get your permission, I might say, now Trish took this choice, which was a good, you know, a valid choice. Another possible choice would have been this, or another possible choice would be that. Not a better choice, not a better choice, but another possible direction to go into. Same thing with me. I mean, my sessions, there's so many directions. When I was coaching with Emily, there were times that she'd take it in a whole different direction than I was thinking. And my first thought would be, why are you going there? And it always worked out. It always was like, oh, okay, that's a good direction to go. I didn't think of that direction. So it's not a right or wrong direction necessarily. It's just following our instinct, like Trish said, following our body, following our impulses. Yes, Mandy.
You just reminded me what I wanted to say a long time ago, but I forgot. About the following the impulses, kind of going with the flow of the stuff. Like, that's kind of how I look at clients per se. Like, whatever human being I end up drawing into my space, then there's, for some reason, I'm supposed to have some kind of moment with this person, and I'm just going to do the best I can to help them or be nice to them or serve their life in a higher positive way, or just, you know, whatever I can do. And that can be different every single day throughout the day. And so that's just kind of how I look at it. Like, I've been struggling with what would my niche be, and me, it's just like whoever crosses my path, and like if I'm doing a healing or a coaching or even just hanging out with, you know, my boyfriend's kids, like I just want to be a positive impact or as best I can, or help them or guide them in whatever positive way I'm mustering in that moment, you know, whatever's authentic for that moment in that situation, and or whatever the struggle is, like just do the best you can, you know.
Beautiful. That's absolutely right. And, you know, listen, some of you that have faith, just pray, God, send me the right people. Do light touch. You know, we're going to all start doing light touch. I am attracting the perfect clients. I am attracting the perfect clients. I am attracting the perfect clients. Which leads me to the last thing I want to talk about, and then I'll let you all go. So we'll probably be done in 5 minutes, so that the men can go to the men's group tonight. So things are really moving forward with light touch. And tomorrow morning, we're going to have kind of our first I thought it would be great for fun and frolicking Fridays. How perfect to bring in Jay and some of his light touch people, and we'll all play together. And I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I'm hoping that, for example, Camila and Tori, and Mandy and Israel as couples, then, we can see what it's like for you guys to practice doing light touch with each other. For those of us that are singles, we'll practice doing light touch. And it's just going to be kind of playful, and going to be an interesting, different kind of a show. But I encourage all of you, if you can, to show up and join us and start to get to know Jay, and for Jay to get to know you. Yes, Camila.
I did look at the Google Docs with links before asking this question. I don't see a link in there for Frolicking Fridays. Is it the same as the 9 a.m. every weekday compassionate talk?
Yeah, same as the 9 a.m. Yeah, thanks. Good call. I should probably go into the Google Doc and make that clear. And that's a wonderful reminder, everybody. Please put that Google Doc link in some safe place, because it's going to have all your links. And I know by now we have about 38 different links per day for 42 different courses. So I know it's getting a little bit much, but that doc will be your guide. Okay. So yeah, if you can, join us tomorrow morning, and it's going to be fun. One other thing, just so you know, we are going to start advertising, and we're going to be really primarily focusing on the ads that we're creating, both of these new little commercials that we're making, because we're making these little commercials to run during our shows, and then we're also going to run on the Saturday Night Live show, and the ones that we're going to do on YouTube and Facebook are very much focusing on people's relationships that are really hurting, people that are in a lot of pain, needing relationship support. That's where we're going to go after first. And the call to action is for people to fill out a very short survey, after which we will then do we'll hook them up with somebody to do a discovery session for just 15 minutes, no coaching, just empathy. Empathy for whatever they're going through, getting to know them, having them fill out a larger client intake form, and then they're given their options of how they can get support. Again, the options are free webinars and videos, a class, or private coaching. We are going to need some people who are going to do the discovery sessions, and you'll get paid for that. And so if any of you are interested in being available to take calls with potential clients as discovery sessions, Adrian is raising his hand, Camille is raising her hand, Trisha's, okay. So all of you private message me. If you're interested, private message me, either private message me on Facebook, private message me on Facebook. I'll make a list of those of you that are interested in doing that, and that's great. And we'll start putting some of you to work. It'll probably be another week, but we'll start getting you guys working. Okay, any last thoughts or inspirations? No? Okay. I love you guys. Hope to see many of you tomorrow morning, Friday morning at 9 a.m. Also remember, we've got Recovery Talk at 6 p.m. and Straight Talk at 7:30 tomorrow night. Take care. And you got to watch Saturday Night Live. We've got Marianne Williamson, Andrew Harvey, John Robbins, and the theme is my favorite theme. I came up with the idea, sacred activism. It's going to be a really fucking great show. Great musicians, Lisa Stowe, Human, Sasha Rose, a lot of great wisdom jewels, so got to join us then too. Okay, love you guys.
Andrew Harvey's awesome, for those who don't know him. Just adding on top of what Scott said, I love Andrew Harvey. He's one of my favorites.
Honestly, I chose to do this show only because I wanted to have an excuse to have Andrew Harvey on my show. He is absolutely my favorite living author. If you don't know Andrew Harvey, he's like, everybody's going, wow, Marianne Williamson. It's like, oh, that's good. We know Marianne. Wait till you get to know Andrew Harvey. He's amazing.
Relationship, the one we read from you.
Pardon?
Say it louder. We couldn't hear that.
I said, is he the same author of the book, The Evolutionary Love Relationships or something like that? Is
He's
that
one of the two co-authors, yeah.
Yeah. He's an amazing guy. He's amazing. So, all right, I'm gonna let y'all go. Love you much. Take care.